Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out in the torch shop to make another marble. I'm going to make a cane with some very light cobalt base and try and get that twisted up inside a marble. Let's see what we can do. Light the fires and get going. I'm going to use this Cobalt 1, lighter shades of cobalt, and I need to condense into a fat piece here. So I want a base with some more surface area. I need the surface area more than I need the length. So we've got some beautiful sunshine outside right now, but a little chilly this morning. Definitely into fall season, even though it's going to warm up today. It's starting out nice and cool. So we're going to just kind of keep condensing in some of this cobalt rod. Cobalt is always a really good base for fuming. Just trying to make a guesstimation of how much I need here. I always try and kind of overshoot to some degree. Better to have too much prep than too little. We're going to roll this out. I need a nice little barrel. Kind of squeeze it together and then pull it apart a little bit to get some length. Okay, well that's probably a good starting point. Alrighty. Well, we're going to start out with some gold. And we're going to go vertical here because we want to just get one side here. And gold likes to stick to hot glass, but not so hot that it'll keep burning off. So we kind of do this in little steps. Okay, then we're going to do silver on the other side, but first we're going to go ahead and stripe some clear on here where it's just pure gold. And then we'll come around to the other side. And actually burn off some of the gold that's diffused around the edges. And we're going to hit some, what am I trying to say? Some silver on here. Okay, then we're going to do some stripes. Continue our stripes around. Oops. I almost had it there. Okay. Now we got fuming all around this. Half gold, half silver. Get some lines on there with the pure silver, or pure gold, and then start in with the silver and the other side, and hopefully we still kept some transitional space. So we kind of work on the far out end. It's short enough we have lots of control over the glass. It's not wobbling around. It's not hanging out hot very far. So we'll kind of work this in and burn out the excess fume. And then we'll get a handle on this side. cut loose the other side. Okay, now we need another handle. So we'll start twisting this just a tad. Woke up this morning with a very froggy throat, so hopefully I won't get too froggy on this recording. So keep kind of working back and forth, starting on one end and trying to develop some twist here. We're trying to get a pretty high twist rate. I'm trying to keep this from pulling out too terribly long. Oops. Don't want that low of a flame. Gonna do a fairly fine flame here in the middle to cut this in two. Okay, two little pieces. Now what? Gonna heat up a section of clear rod. Oops, got heating too fast. Got some cracking going on. We'll get rid of that. I tried to clean up the end earlier, and that's probably a mistake. You get a heat zone all the ways back from where you heated the tip. So it's a little wibbly wobbly here. So we're just kind of going opposite sides here. So we're going to start out with these just separated on a flat plane. Now this kind of phase is a lot of wibbly wobbly glass, trying to get it into a pattern. The next phase is going to be twisting this pair, kind of a triplet setup. So again, we'll try and start with something kind of gentle, just a little soft twist. Now at this point, we don't really want a bunch more twist. We want to condense this together. Kind of trying to work with gravity here a little bit. It's wanting to shift and sag, so just kind of work with that. Okay, now I think I just need a big soft flame. Keep working this together, turn this into a barrel. So letting the glass do what it wants to do. So this is going to become the core of the marble, and we're going to be looking into it from the side here on the left-hand side. So once this is kind of a consistent, more like a barrel situation, and this phase will be done. So we'll go ahead and cut this off. This is not the cleanest glass right here, so I'll do a little cleanup here. And this is going to be our little window into the inner world, so we want to preserve a clear glass window on this end. So now we're angling it up to get this front. This is kind of a mini lens. You could actually turn this into a marble with this phase. This would be pretty cool as a small marble. But we want to add a bigger marble here. Okay, so I could garage this. I could just kind of hang on to it. I'll garage it in a second here, I guess. It's cold enough out here. I did turn on my little holding oven here. We have it here, and it's hot. We'll make use of it. Maybe. There's an instance where that little rod that I was hanging onto as a puntee, it's not long enough or have enough weight, so it won't counterbalance. So I've got it kind of propped up in there. It's not the ideal configuration. Okay, these guys are done. This guy's actually done. Try and keep things organized here with the stuff that I'm going to do next. Kind of laid out in the order that it needs to be put together. So how's everybody feeling out there? I hope you're hanging in there. There's a lot going on in our crazy world right now, but we're trying to get out here to the torch shop to do some fun creative work, put out some good energy to the world. Kind of been our thing, Ray and I, for many years, is just trying to keep it on a positive wavelength, spread a happy vibe. Ray has numerous mediums that she works with to generate art and fantasy, beautiful things. And I see a lot of glass work that's technically phenomenal work that I don't have, just don't have the facilities, the tools and facilities to do that sort of work, but there's so many different kinds of glass work, so many end results, and occasionally I'm drawn to something and I think, well, for the moment I'm going to stick to something that I have some basic ideas, concepts of how it works, and try and explore some different ideas. That's what this series is about. It's just kind of my process, my personal journey. Let's make some glass, man. You know? Let's make something cool looking. Doesn't have to be the most wonderful thing ever made. I certainly don't consider myself a glass artist of any particular caliber. I'm just really, I always kind of thought of myself as sort of the working man's glass, you know. I would see that in ceramic arts. You'd see super high-end ceramic work, and then you'd see just, I just want the cups and saucers and plates and stuff, you know, that the average person can have in their house. So we're going to marry these two up. One trick to getting this done right is to get these faces very hot. Without getting over hot. Glass doesn't like to be over hot. And then as we kiss these together, we don't want rotations going on between the two. And then as we rotate, we want to rotate them together. And then once we have kind of a smooth transition, we just kind of keep some heat on that transition. I'll give it a little gentle push here to open up that lens face that we're trying to look into. Continuing to kind of work on the clear lens part of it. We start generating back to our kind of a cone shape. Cut loose this handle. Yeah, it's a bug in my eye. Let's see, trying to figure out whether I want to use big flame or just slowly ease this together. You have kind of this dip in there that focuses the heat right in that kind of trough, and it'll kind of work its way up. I know I have to cut off this end. I think at the point we can do a little shaping. Alright, well, we got it together. Got to look down inside. Let this stabilize a moment, and then we are going to ooh, careful, don't knock it off. Kind of sharpen up this tip. And kind of come out to some clean pattern. Well, it's kind of different. That's alright. We'll leave that alone. I have a little interest down there at the bottom. Not everything has to be all symmetrical, perfect, linear, whatever. That kind of work is fascinating. But to me, it just speaks of too much stress. For people that can do that, that's awesome. But I think some people are obsessing. Oops. Sorry about that. Let's try this again. That's better. So the background. May not be able to see any of this background, but I'm going to do a couple things to try and make some interest in the background. And we may come up to the upper upper reaches of this. We may see this only just in a little limited range. And we're going to do a little bit of this blue-green frit. trying to get up on this edge because it may be the only place this is really going to be seen. Alright, next up, it's going to be some fume. So now we got to figure which, we got two choices, gold or silver. We'll try gold. This Kevlar sleeve is really good resting against this elm arbor on top. It's dang hot, but Kevlar really helps protect your skin against that kind of heat. Alright. Hopefully we got enough gold on there to show. And then I've got some dark cobalt. I know, cobalt. So we're going to try and run this around the upper level. And we're going to start right out the gate giving a little bit of a gap. This is a thicker stringer than I've sometimes used for backing. So like I say, some of this, you know, I recognize at this point this may be obscured by that central fume piece. It may not show up at all. But in case it is showing up, we're going to do two layers here. So that was gold fume and then dark cobalt, and we'll heat this up, let this kind of melt in on its own. I'm not going to try and marble this or press it. into shape. Just going to let this do its thing. Yeah, I don't always have Rosie out here, but I've got my daughter's dog, my dog, our dog, in the shop today. She's got her own little bed in here. She seems to be happy to be chilling out in the torch shop. So I'm getting this heated in, smoothed out, and now I'm kind of burning out some of that fume that's in between the layers. Got that done. Kind of sharpen our pencil here. And now I'm going to try doing silver. Yeah, we're going to add more. Guess what? Dark cobalt. I'm try and run this in the line in between in the gap. I just need to visualize. This is going to be hard with the fume. So I want to heat it up enough to see where I'm laying this down, but I don't want to heat it up so much that it disturb the fume. Well, I definitely have kind of lost track of the trail I'm supposed to be following. I got some of it on there in the right place. It was really hard to see the underlying pattern. We'll kind of cheat and we'll add some more glass in here in places. Oh well, like I say, none of that may show up. Okay, trying to sharpen the point and define the outer boundary. So this one, I'm definitely kind of setting up a two-step cone, kind of two different angles. For here, from here, I get a sip of coffee from here. Got my mug full of marbles. Some pretty good ideas in there. Okay. Yeah, I think that upper edge is going to show up, hopefully. So at this phase, I'm going to heat up the clear rod, drop it down here, away from the very end. And I'll start stitching this clear filler layer on here. Keeping our heat on the clear rod we're feeding into it. Just brushing a little bit of that heat into the zone where it's being laid down. Little bites. This gets to be like highway hypnosis, rolling down the road with your headlights showing just a small distance ahead, and your mind keeps going to set the goalpost. It's constantly moving out. And I used to do a lot of backpacking and Cascades. Got used to that phenomenon on the trail of seeing a seeming destination up ahead, and then you get to that saddle or whatever point that is, and you see the next step up the mountain or whatever. So it always seems to be just one more thing we gotta get to. But you finally get up to the summit, and there's a real sense of achievement and satisfaction. It's like, hey, all those little steps ended up at the top. Okay, I usually get this rim heated in first and try and shape this up. A lot of excess fume on that front lens area. That'll get burned off or ripped off later. So come in the top and follow that angle. Because right at that edge, we really don't need any thickness of clear on there. Then we come out to the point, And now that we've laid down that clear that's against the backside color layer and so on, then we can be a little more aggressive at laying down clear. Get that big flame, but most of it's going right around this little rod. It doesn't really speed it up a whole lot. And it means a lot more heat throwing off the sides. Okay, well, I think I need another stick. I was a little concerned about being chilly this morning, but it warmed up now. Okay, well, we're just continuing to lay down a bunch of clear, fill in this cone shape into a round shape. And that might be enough glass on there. We'll melt this in and see where we're at. Give our arm a little rest. Sometimes it's kind of amazing just how much heat it takes to get that glass to just flow on its own. It has to get really hot. It's kind of a crazy business to be in. It's also kind of mesmerizing. I don't know, I guess you got to be a good fire sign to appreciate hanging out just staring at a flame, but it suits me, I guess. Just watching that slow progression of what happens with the glass as it's heated up. It looks like it's on center, you know, for the most part. It's only on center as much as I'm rotating it. If I stop rotating, it instantly starts falling. So the idea is to stay rotating just ahead of the fall rate. So it's constantly falling just a little bit. this very end, we're going to melt that down to that little spot that's not covered with clear. Okay. Got my switcheroo messed up. My little keypad, if I hit the wrong button on there, for some reason it kind of freezes it up. I'm going to have to go back to my mouse. It's not as convenient. Okay, we're getting there. It's still got to finish getting full round. So if you get antsy at this stage, you can use a marble mold to round things out. So I mentioned earlier I do have our dog out here in the shop, and she's being pretty mellow over there in her bed. But this is definitely a no cat zone. We used to always have cats. We don't have any cats right now. But you do not want cats in your torch shop. Just my opinion, but they are troublemakers. And they'll get up on the counter and they'll knock things over and break stuff and who knows what. Okay, we're about ready to lay down our lines of color on the backside. Yeah, I'm always disappointed when this stops working. Oh. Decided to do something, but it's not the right thing. Okay, on the back side, we're going to start out with Silver Strike 5. Oops. Just total miss on my elbow pad there. Come right along that edge. Come back to the beginning and break away. Okay, next up, we're going to do some half-blood. This is like dragon's blood red, but this strikes so It looks pretty much clear right now. Some colors, like ruby, as you pull them out into a stringer, as they cool down, they'll strike. This color doesn't seem to strike when it cools down. But this is kind of similar to the ruby. Just a little lighter shade. The full strength dragon's blood can turn to various states of semi-opaqueness and can result in some different looks. It's not always the beautiful gem ruby red kind of color. But half-blood is pretty consistent. It doesn't have too many other weird side effects. Alright, and the last one is this IO star, and I didn't take the time to look through prior videos and see when's the last time I used this. I think I've used this on the backside before. I hope I don't regret using this. This has a little bit of sparkle to it, but it's got some silver content that does some weird fumey sort of effects. It's not entirely what you see is what you get kind of a color. So as of the time of this recording, my daughter and my sister who lives next door and her husband, my brother-in-law Peter, they are all in Scotland right now, touring about. They were at the Museum of Scotland today. So our family has Scottish heritage, and my daughter's been fascinated by our Scottish ancestry, and she finally has an opportunity to get there and check it out. So yesterday, I don't know, probably noonish, I got to get this marble done so I can FaceTime with them. Hopefully it'll be after dinner when they FaceTime here around noon our time. See how their day went. Might be a little bit late on my schedule today. Okay. See if the torch gods can smile on me here. I'm definitely getting a droopy effect and way off center here, but alright, now I've got to warm this backside up to try and get on center. It's a little harder to move forward if you're this far off axis. Trying to get it on center, I got so heated up it went wonky. You sort of flatten that end and then kind of sharpen the pencil again. Okay, for the most part this all raked really nicely. I don't see any big bubble messes. That one common first loop problems. It's like first world problems, only different. Just add a little encouragement to shape it up. Alright, at this point we can get a punty set up. Oops, I guess that goes over here too. Try and straighten out the bench here while I'm waiting for things to cool down a little bit. Alrighty. Get a hot seal on there. Okay, now we're into it, getting this lens condensed in. Another very chill section of marble construction. I'll angle this so that heat is going into the core of the marble. Okay, and then we kind of want to spill it up over the edge, because that'll be where we start ripping off some glass. So kind of push that boundary back and open a little bit. And when we get like too much heat going on, the whole thing's getting pretty hot, then we switch to the smaller flame and just focus on feeding in some more clear into the bulking up the front lens. There's always such thing as too much heat. When you're doing glass, you don't want everything to get so hot it's completely out of control. Okay, we're getting close to having enough clear stock on this end. And up to our cutting wheel. Small flame is kind of dialed down here. I don't always spend much time condensing this little pull-off area, but if I don't do this, I wind up tearing quite a bit more glass off the end than perhaps I need to. Okay. Now it's about tearing this off. And this takes quite a bit of heat. You want to get that zone really hot because you don't want to yank too much on the glass. You want to just be able to pull it gently. Well, anybody that's hanging out watching these videos, I sure appreciate your time. We're not reaching a very big audience here, so you're one of the few people seeing all this glass work in detail. Hopefully being able to share kind of exactly what goes on and not just these fancy edited clips of whiz-bang supposed to impress you about the world of glass. Or I don't mean to rag on anybody out there, but a lot of video that's out there is done without even the basic filters, so you can't really see into the flame and you don't really see much of what's going on. And I always encourage people, it's like if you're going to record, video your glass work, at least use a basic filter. Get some sense of what's happening. I think a lot of people do that on purpose to hide what they're doing, really. People still have, a lot of thoughts about keeping things tightly held secrets or whatever, and yeah, there's stuff that I'm hesitant to share because I'd like it to be my own, but at this point I pretty much shared everything I know. sorry to disillusion anybody. I don't have a lot of tricks up my sleeve at this point. At least that's what I want you to think. There's just always so many new things to explore. Different colors, the use of different colors, that's a whole world in itself. You can have different people using the same basic technique, concept, schedule, coming out with very different results. There's just a ton of variables that happen during glass blowing. Flashed a little schmutz in there. See where we're at. scrape some carbon off that face. You can see these little glowing specks on that Red Max torch face sometimes. It'll build up a little chunk of carbon and then fire it out and stick it on your glass. Probably one of the big differences, the GTT torches, triple mix torches, I don't see that really as a thing that happens. But any of the basic older style Carlisle or whatever, simple propane and oxygen surface mix torch, that interface between the two can be a zone where carbon builds up. Okay, using a little bit of angle, a little bit of gravity. I got this big pill shape. We got to get this into a round shape. This plant kind of heat up. Kind of trying to heat up a good part of this and get it to incorporate the two halves. And try pushing some heat right down the core. And even though this seems like this keeps taking some heat away and so on, it's not making it round. I'm trying to use that elm arbor to keep things on the concentric sort of note. Okay, at some point, it's going to be let's go to the mold. Had the wrong camera view there, sorry. So if you have the right size marble mold, you can kind of come in and kind of push it in a little bit. Foot switch. Trying to find my foot switch. Alright, well, we'll go with that for the first phase. Yeah, this is going to have a good two-tone effect where you can see up in this upper region and then you can look down inside and see farther down inside it. Can't see that well on the camera at this point, but I can see it pretty good. Okay, break loose this first punty. Leave a little nib, so we'll clean that up. Watch out for these graphite tools or any of your tools, they get hot. You don't want to brush up against them. So anytime we have a solid punji connection, we can reduce our rotations. Really, when you slow rotation, your torch flame has more time to really penetrate into the glass. When you do a lot of whipping around, spinning, and whatever, sometimes you want to do that to minimize how much heat you put into it, but when you're working with solid glass like this in particular, you just really want to soak it. Hollow work is a little different. So the rotation will move that glass a little bit. This is always kind of a tricky phase, trying to get these two halves to marry up and make a nice half and half marble. Got a little bit of motion going. And some of this holding it up and doing all this spinning and stuff, it's thickening or widening the clear lens side as well, which I don't really want. So that's why we come into the marble mold more or less kind of level and start squeezing the two halves together. But I'm also conscious about preserving that end point, so that leaves kind of this little bump on the end. Okay, now we're trying to get a deep heat all the way through. The next trip into the marble mold is going to try and round this out as best we can. So we use a little bit of pressure at that point, and we kind of can let it dangle. That punty connection tends to, pushing it in the mold, trying to monkey around with it, horse around with it, whatever, tend to kind of flatten the front face. And it always surprises me because I thought we had a lot of clear glass on that front lens. But you get to this phase and it looks like, oh, I could have used even more out there on the front lens. So then we're a little more gentle at this stage and a little quicker in and out of the marble mold. It's getting there, but we always have this one little gap on the color side as it's trying to marry up to the clear lens. Typically that's the last section that wants to pull together. Yeah, well, this has taken a little bit of time, but still looking at the reflections in the light. You see lots of wobbles there. It's close. Yeah, that might be close enough to be our last cycle in the mold here on this side. So we'll just kind of keep it in there for a little bit longer, let that core cool down a bit. And then we want to just get a nice clean finish on this backside. So try and heat it to get past all the wrinkles. Trying to get a pretty intense heat on that back side. Really, I just want the surface. Okay, now I can have a sigh of relief. Now we just need to switch to our last punty and clean up that front lens and we're all done. Alright. Tear that loose because we know we're going to have to dig in here and get rid of some glass. Now, glass will heat up, or clear glass will heat up a lot faster and move a lot easier. So when I get this front face heated up, and that's running pretty smooth. So I think we can just do heat cycling here. You get all these concentric wrinkles up at the face. And the other thing we can do is switch to a smaller marble mold. It's kind of like, almost like moving to a finer grit of sandpaper or something. It's a little smoother. Doesn't have so much surface to grab a hold and create wrinkles. So I got a good heat cycle going on, and then we're just going to let it chill for a moment and repeat, rinse and repeat. But I think this one went really well. Trying to get this to the correct heat and rotation. You want to get rid of wrinkles, but you don't want to start new waves. Torch can give you waves, the molds will give you wrinkles. Well, I think this is a great example. Doing some fume effects. Building some simple components, incorporating it into the core of the marble, adding some background effects and decoration. All in all, it's a good show. Plain polish off this punty mark. I always say this, it takes more than you think. I mean, you can flame it for just a second and get rid of any sharp, rough sort of feel, but if you want it to really smooth in and come back to the curvature of everything else, it's a little different. But we're looking good. That's a happy marble. Thank you so much, you guys, for spending time hanging out, watching our videos, coming to visit our studio. We really appreciate all your time and effort to make a comment, throw us a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's helping us out a lot. So into the kiln we go. It's always an interesting surprise to see what comes out of the kiln the next day. So as always, we wish you the very best from our hearts to yours. Be kind. Be good to those you are around, your family, friends, and people you meet on the street. And we will see you for another adventure, another day. Check it out.